All right, hit it.
Okay, so episode 8, part 2, the Constitution, which the reason why this is blowing my freaking mind, I could say fucking, I guess, but anyways, is like there was a video in the last about 2 weeks where Trump was being interviewed, and I forget exactly what they were asking him about, but they basically said, do you feel you need to follow the Constitution? And I'm paraphrasing barely, but that was what they said. And his response wasn't that he thought that what he was doing was constitutional. It wasn't that he thought he was going to change the Constitution. It wasn't that he thought there was something wrong with the Constitution. It was, I don't know. I'll have to have my lawyers get back to you. If that doesn't blow your freaking mind that the President of the United States would have that kind of response, they're basically saying, I don't have to do my job. I mean, when he took an oath of office, about the only thing that he promised to do was follow the Constitution. So, and there are other things in the same vein being done by the administration where they are not saying that what they're doing is constitutional. They are literally saying they don't have to follow the Constitution. I don't even have any additional words. I'll let Steve take it.
Look at this man. Look at this man. How many people have filed court cases against him? Over 4,000 litigations.
You mean over his life or recently?
Lifetime.
Okay, yeah.
And everything to him about is how far can I take it? Because to him, like I've said this before, this guy has no bounds. He doesn't look. He'll get anything he can get away with. He will. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. He has no morals, no ethics, no values. And everything's about him and how can he gain from this? Power and money or whatever else, and be cruel. So he'll go to any length, right? So that's of course that's his answer, because whenever he does anything in life, it's like, am I going to go to jail for this? And even if it's illegal, how can we get around it? So, and first of all, he doesn't understand the Constitution, doesn't care about the Constitution.
But it's just being more and more obvious in his answers. Right, like he's not even pretending.
Right. So this is that if somebody was to ask me what was his response going to be, I might have said that would probably be his response. Like, well, can I get away with it? Like, how do I get away with it? Which is basically the same.
No, that's exactly based.
So
yeah.
That might have been what my prediction would have been about how he would respond to something like that. So no surprise whatsoever. Like, well, what do you mean by constitute? Like, I don't obey any laws ever in my whole life. I don't play any morals. I never have. There's no social morals. There's no laws that the state or institutions have imposed that I follow. I don't follow any guidelines except for me. So, first of all, there's that. Secondly, he doesn't understand the Constitution. If you told him to name the 3 branches and what each one does in the separation of state and habeas corpus, he could not explain that to you because he doesn't know. And if he did, it would be all fucking hilariously twisted.
Reminds me of Christian Noman, how she couldn't explain habeas corpus.
Yeah, these people don't know. They don't care. Because their whole life was a twisted.
Might be okay if they weren't in charge of everything.
We all know why they're in charge.
Well, yeah.
Look, we know what it is. It's like all this, the subconscious fantasy of getting back at people, like of being able to do the most cruel things to people they don't like. And this guy can fulfill that deep-seated hatred for everything and everybody, without like saying it themselves. So, or acknowledging it in their own mind, and then they try to twist it into being some kind of economic thing or whatever else. But no, it's not. That's not what it's ever been about for this shit.
Or some security thing or whatever. And it's like, if it's a security thing, then put them on trial and show what you got. It's not that difficult.
None of this stuff makes sense. None of it makes sense unless you're brainwashed. And you believe your own bullshit. And you're in a group of people who believe their own bullshit. Because it's ridiculous to any other individual throughout the world and even in America, some of the stuff that's coming out of these people's mouths.
It's just, and I've said this before, but what baffles me about MAGA is that a lot of MAGA contradicts what was normally thought of as Republican talking points.
But those talking points, even in the past, were bullshit.
Well, yeah, but I know we're going to bring it up at some point, but tariffs, for example, are not a standard Republican talking point. There's obviously standard MAGA, but that's...
Well, that's a Trump idea. That's not even in the Heritage Foundation. That's not in Project 2025.
Yeah, it's just Trump.
Look, Trump comes up with this stupid shit, right? About because he's just so ridiculously insane and stupid. And when he comes up with this shit, the people that are actually behind all this are like, let him, because it's a distraction from what we're really doing. So when he says I'm fucking ridiculous, and I was like, oh my god, he's
Well,
gonna reopen
and unfortunately
Alcatraz.
now
Well, they're in the back rooms,
he's able
cutting
to
all these, like running all these.
Exactly. He's able to use the tariff thing to manipulate the market as much.
But
as
do you
anything
think this
else.
is do you think this was an effort? They got in a room and said, "Hey, why you
Oh,
just no, it's just happening." And they're like, "Let it happen, let it fucking happen."
Well, I think it's
this
worse
guy's
than
our
that. I
clown.
think it's more like we've tried to control it. It doesn't.
But
work.
why bother? Because it works for us.
Yeah, it does. As a distraction, like you said.
Right? Yeah. So it's working. It's like
At best, a distraction, and at worst, if they're careful, they can jump on and take advantage of some of the deliberate manipulations of the market.
right. And these people that follow him are so brainwashed and so stupid that they're trying to twist their brain to figure out like, well, how would that make sense? You know, like, and even if you like, dude, could you even like when you start looking at the logistics of like trying to like bring back Alcatraz, it's so stupid. That you know, what was something?
Well, and like he was arguing with Amazon the other day, which was bad. It was stupid,
Right.
and then it got even worse. He started to argue with Walmart.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you guys should just suck up this stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
why should they have to suck up anything? That's not the way capitalism is supposed to work. Aren't you supposed to be a capitalist? I mean, what the fuck?
This tariff thing, you know, this is the thing that might backfire on him. This might actually backfire on him a little bit. I mean, I don't know who at this point is buying that this is somehow going to benefit anyone in any way. I don't.
There is a small percent of those who already have billions of dollars who might be able to manipulate it to their benefit, and that's about it. Everybody else is going to be. Nobody else is going to benefit in any way, shape,
That's why
or form.
Walmart, even in Amazon's like, dude.
Well, as a company, they can't benefit. There might be one or two people, Walton family people, who, if they're lucky enough or smart enough, they can. I don't know, but
You know, once again, I don't. I told you I don't I don't bother trying to understand it because, like I said, this is just something that he got up his butt. I think he thinks that he's gotten bad deals and that he's going to bully people into like.
Well, it's a gut level thing. He's doing it because.
But his gut is so stupid.
Oh, yeah.
He bankrupt casinos. I mean, money making machines. This guy is so bad. He is so bad at
Unless
business.
the
He's
goal,
so bad
the
at
goal
everything.
was like money laundering or something like that, in which case he was successful. But the obvious stated goal, he was completely screwball with.
I think he is. Look, if you think the universe makes sense and there's some order or there's justice in the world, look at Trump. That should just prove to you, without a doubt, that the universe is absurd. Because under any other circumstances, a human being like that would be in jail or dead. Like, he's such an idiot.
I mean,
he is such an idiot.
I've said it on here a lot. The only reason why I don't tout the idea of like getting rid of him in a more visceral way any more than I do, because it scares the shit out of me to think of Vance being in there. But
see, the thing is, I'm not scared of Vance, and I'm not scared of this whole. Look, I think we were talking about this.
Yeah.
Before. You know, we didn't fully flesh it out, but. And then we'll probably end it. I mean, is there anything else?
We're just about done with it.
We'll go back to Constitution. I'll wrap that idea up too. Remind me.
Okay.
Constitution. But so because we went off on a little tangent here, but Vance, look, he doesn't have. He's not the Svengali that Trump is, right? Not even close. I don't know what spell he's put on these people or how he's done.
But whatever it is, Vance doesn't have it.
I don't know if I can put my finger on it exactly, but I think I touched on it before when we talked about this when I said he doesn't flinch. He does not flinch. He believes his own bullshit. He is like unparalleled in his megalomania in such a way that he's got these people hypnotized. I don't know how he because maybe I'm not the type of person that falls for that kind of shit. But he's got these people like this, it's a thing we're not supposed to mention on this app. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyways, So, they get these people under this spell, and you can't really understand why. Because when you look at these people, and like, they're pathetic. They're jokes. And people thought he was a joke. They thought Mussolini was a joke. They're like, what are these people? What is wrong with these people? But like, I think it's that subconscious thing where he's manifesting all this hate and bile and things inside of themselves that they don't want it, and then they're just buying into this and feeding into it. But somehow he's got this thing going, right? And this is all a bigger picture of trying to maintain what I was talking about before in our last segment about this hierarchy, this patriarchy, this thousands of years of the way human societies have lived is unraveling before our eyes at rapid speed. And it's such a rapid way that it's really discombobulating even me. And like I said, I've been doing this for 20, 30 years, even from a child, with religion and things like that. So my whole life I've been kind of doing this. So like Al said, one more piece is not completely shattering my mind.
Well, some of it is demographics. You do not have the population to sustain the, whatever you want to call it, that we lived with for hundreds of years. If you want to insist that, I'm going to go see only a white male doctor, for example, you do not have that option. You're either going to have a woman doctor or a minority doctor half the time. Because that's what.
Well, here's the thing: if you cull the herd and only black people can see black doctors, you could choreograph the whole thing to still keep your dominance.
You could, but you'd have to go through those steps, and it would not be easy, and it would also. I don't see how it would look very good. It's kind of what the current administration is starting to do. I'll admit that.
Looking good? Do you think that?
Oh, they're not looking good. no, that's not my point.
You think they care about that?
Well,
if they but your point is, we couldn't do it because there's just too many people and they're too diverse. No, we could still. It would just be like old day segregation. That's all.
Which they are actually.
Well, make America great again. Let's go back to that. So that's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to.
I guess to summarize, my point is, I don't think it can work. I think they're going to at a certain point.
Right,
I don't think mathematically it can work.
Theoretically, I think it could work, but I don't think it will work because too many people are enlightened and they won't let it happen.
Okay, which is sort of the same thing at the end of the day. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. There's just too many people are understanding this bullshit at this point. This isn't the 1930s anymore.
We're disputing the why a little bit, but at the end of the day, the end result is the same. So yeah.
Yeah. In the 1930s. We kind of had this thing going on too in the 1800s, 1930s, and now it happened in the 60s, and now it's happening again. So, but I think at this point, I think the mental revolution is going to be a lot more successful than it was in the past. I think this is the last dying breath of, certain types of hierarchies and patriarchies, especially Western-dominated thoughts and ideas about how civilization should exist and live, are going to be dismantled because it causes suffering for a lot of people. And even though all these technological advances has reduced suffering in so many ways and extended life, and physical suffering in a lot of different ways, the mental anguish is just too much for a lot of people, and and as far as it having autonomy and freedom in your life and having agency and having, a sense of freedom in general, and people having, equal opportunity, for real equal opportunity, not this fake bullshit, but, and equity and equality and a society that actually cares about you. And instead of having to self-actualize, you're self-actualized at birth because the community takes care of you. Then you can worry about community actualization instead of self, because that should already be there when you're born. And just because you're a human, you deserve it. So, hopefully we'll get to that point somehow. It's not going to alleviate suffering across the board. There's going to be hurricanes. People are going to do stupid shit. There's going to be things going on. But God damn it, we're human beings, and we invented this shit. We can reinvent it. I said it before. We can, create a society that's just a little bit better. It's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. People aren't perfect. But man, we can do better. We can do better. We've been sold a bag of goods and a bunch of lies, and for thousands and thousands of years, going back to caveman days. And it was survival. It was survival back at those times. You might have had to raid a village to get some food because you're gonna die. But those days are over. We have everything that we've gotten to. And people would try to argue that we got there because of capitalism. No, we didn't get there because people cooperated, man. Most of these technology advances, these were all done at university. These were all done by government programs. Most of this stuff was done during, you look for it, in 2-3 years, they created an atom bomb, but look at all the scientific discovery that happened in that point in time. I mean, they put that stuff together so fast, and the same with NASA and all those things. And all the institutions, all these, universities that, created the ARPANET and all this technology and stuff. I was
going to say a lot of that started in the 60s and 70s.
This has nothing to do with corporations. Tesla, you think he would have done it? He didn't care. He had to go through the couple, but he gave his money away just to keep his idea going. Most of these scientists don't care about money. These are the business guys who use these scientists. These guys are not business. Musk is a joke. He's not a fucking genius. He's a moron. So, yeah, all these technology advances could have happened through cooperation and not through competition. The same thing would have happened. It just would have been a better society. That's all. But, so back to this thing about the Constitution. And that was put into place. So hopefully in the future, we could get a more equitable society, And, in the beginning, yeah, it was horse shit because it was just a bunch of white dudes. 6% of the population voted. It was just white guys with land. That's how it started. But I think some of these guys were like, man, we'll put some stuff in here. We'll get some amendments. Maybe down the road, shit will get better. And it did for a while until the 1970s and 80s. So, slowly we're getting better. But, man, taking these steps back and then hopefully we'll get back in the other direction. That's what my hope is.
Yeah.
This all goes back to the Constitution. And if we kind of live within this thing and we get some amendments, we get the money out of there, we'll be all right. But these guys they want to go back to the Constitution of freaking 1770. Well, 70s was a rebel, but you understand. Whatever the fucking
hundreds of years ago, not decades.
Yeah. And some of the, amendments. So they even took some of the amendments out of the, of the documents that they put together for that book. That Bible that they want to force people to have in schools.
In Oklahoma, for
they
example.
literally took out the ones about the Civil Rights Act and shit. But anyways,
I think everything after the 10th Amendment or something. After the 10th or 12th.
They're like, oh no, this will count. But anyways, back to that. Yeah, they don't care about Constitution. They don't give a shit. They don't even know what it is. These people never abide by any law ever in their entire lives. They're all a bunch of kooks and quacks, and they're all narcissistic lunatics. So. They're sociopathic, and they have no empathy, and they just want to be, a Christian nationalist fascist state, and that's the end of it.